It's wonderful. You sit home and you think it out, and after all the training you've had in martial arts academies, you've come to realize those certain golden moments that happen in a fight when it's just perfect, when it's just perfect and the guy steps right into it and there's nothing like it in the world. And so you can create those. You can make it happen that way every time, and it's great.
I remember the first time I heard of Brandon Lee. It was I remember seeing him in the film Showdown in Little Tokyo. I remember when it came out. It was in August of '91, and it caught my attention. Well, for two things. One, Brandon Lee was in it. Like, he was the son of Bruce Lee, and I thought that was so fascinating. Like, wow, the son of Bruce Lee is an action star. And the other reason why it caught my attention was because of Dolph Lundgren. Um, I was and still am a big fan of him. And I didn't play in theaters for very long. And some months later, sometime into '92, I had finally seen Showdown Little Tokyo on VHS, and I really liked the movie. And I became a big Brandon Lee fan. Like the moment I saw him in it, thought he was so cool and everything. And I tracked his career, and the next thing he did was Rapid Fire. I didn't see that in theaters, wanted to, but wasn't able to see it in theaters. It took a while before I got a chance to see Rapid Fire. And during the summer of '92, news of the Crow comic was being made into a film, and Brandon Lee was going to star as the Crow. And I thought that was just such brilliant casting. And at the time, I didn't read the comic The Crow. I only just found about the comic that summer. Okay, Zach, I think I first saw The Crow inside some comic catalog for comics that were supposed to come out months down the line, and it was the final issue of The Crow at that time, the concluding chapter to the saga of Eric Draven. At the time, he wasn't Eric Draven. The movie came up with the last name. But I remember seeing the cover by James O'Barr. It was he's I think he's seated on the ground and his arms are crossed, and I don't know. It was just this really captivating image of wow, I gotta read that comic. And the more I found about The Crow, the plot and everything, the more interested I became, and that fascination became an obsession with The Crow. And I tracked all as much as I could, all the movie news, all the updates with the Crow production, this was a highly anticipated film for me, and I just couldn't wait to see it. And so we're now in '93, and I'm at home. I don't know if I was watching Oprah or Oprah was on, but yeah, it was by the television, and then there was a commercial break for Oprah, and this was a Channel 7, ABC 7, New York, and there was this news report during commercial break saying that Brandon Lee had died, and I'm what? I was thinking how? And I was just in complete shock, what happened? Well, the news came on, and they gave more details about what happened to Brandon Lee, and it said that he was shot on set while making The Crow, doing a scene in which the character Eric Draven dies. And this is Eric Draven when he was human before he resurrected. And I didn't know what to think about all that. It was just somehow a bullet was inside the gun. At that point, nobody knew exactly what happened, but somehow a bullet got inside, or what actually happened is that there was a dummy bullet. The head of a dummy bullet got lodged accidentally in I guess the barrel of the gun. There was a blank inside the gun, and when the blank was fired, as the blank was coming out of the gun, it combined with the head of the dummy bullet, forming a real bullet. And then Brandon Lee was shot in the abdomen. Just finding out what happened to him on set, and just the amount of egregious errors that happened, that caused that tragedy to happen. Um, yeah, it's we're now 30 something years later from it, and it's still it still affects me a lot, like emotionally, like what happened to him on that set, and the loss of Brandon Lee. My heart goes out to his family, his friends, everyone who knew him. Um, yeah, just what happened on that set should have never happened, and so yeah, at that point, the film was up in the air. Like no one knew what was gonna happen with the Crow, and particularly when Paramount, the studio that originally was going to distribute the Crow, dropped the Crow. It's like they didn't want anything to do with the production of the Crow, and the film was up in limbo. The film at the time was also up in limbo because the film wasn't finished. It was almost finished, but they still had 3 days left of production to complete. And one of the scenes that was incomplete was the scene where Eric Draven was murdered by this gang that worked for the lead villain in the film. And I think there was other scenes too that weren't completed at that time. And so there was debate on whether, for the people who made the film, should we complete the film, should we not? And it would be some time before the public would know what they were going to do. In that meantime, like I was just reeling. Like Brandon Lee was like the first celebrity death that hit me like super hard. I mean, there were other deaths before that got to me, like the death of Jim Henson, the death of Sammy Davis Jr. at that time. Heather O'Rourke, that was another one that hit me hard. But Brandon Lee was the one that just cut my heart in two, and I was just, I don't know, I was reeling from that, like it was as if I knew him, and I was following every single thing out there, like that was talking about Brandon Lee, that was talking about the incident. Like I wanted as much information as possible. I remember watching A Current Affair. They had a story about what happened with Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow. Entertainment Weekly, they had an issue of what happened to Brandon Lee on the set of Crow. People Magazine did too. Like if anything Brandon Lee related, I was looking at it. Anything with films, I was watching it. Yeah, it was to this day, like I said, I still deeply feel that loss. Like so much time has passed, and yet it's still like a raw nerve. So I can imagine like how his loved ones feel to this day. It was such an incredible, remarkable loss. From everything that I've read, he was a good guy, and seemed to have a good head on the shoulders. He had so much ahead of him, and this is just one big tragedy that did not have to happen. So later on that year, word had gotten out that they were indeed, that the makers of The Crow were going to go ahead and complete the film. The actors were willing to come back. The crew was willing to come back in honor of Brandon Lee, with the blessing of Brandon's mother. And so they completed the film. But at that point, there was no distributor at that point. And I'm not too sure how much later the film found a distributor, but eventually they were released by Miramax. The following year, 94, came out May 13th, if I'm remembering correctly. And I saw it that weekend. I saw it the first weekend it came out. Saw it that Saturday. Saw it in Manhattan. I think I saw it at some cinema on 86th Street. Might have been on the East Side, can't remember. And I saw it with my family, my entire family. At that point, it was like kind of rare. When we were little kids, our parents used to always go with us. But once we became teenagers, once we got older, our parents, pretty much just me and my brothers like seeing movies. But this time around, the whole family went, and we all saw the film. We all, enjoyed watching the movie. We all were moved by the movie, and I became obsessed with the movie. Just replaying the scenes in my head over and over again until I got myself a copy of it, which I did, as soon as I was able to. And then I watched that film as much as I could, watched scenes of it as much as I could, the most standout scenes from the film. And yeah, like The Crow to me is a masterpiece. Like I really, really, really love that movie. Definitely in some ways was ahead of its time. It was a film that's very much of its time, but also very much ahead of its time, and it still holds up extremely well to this day. Um, and that film would have definitely would have been the film that made Brandon Lee into a major superstar. And I really wish he had lived to have seen the effect this film has had on people and continues to have on people. And yeah, like I just I can't praise The Crow enough. I can't praise his performance enough. He was the perfect Eric Draven. Nobody since has played that character any better, or any type of, I guess, Eric stand-in. The performances are pitch perfect. Ernie Hudson is fantastic in this film. Michael Wincott is fantastic in this film. Rochelle Davis, Sophia Shiners, David Patrick Kelly, Bai Ling, Michael Massey, Tony Todd, Angel David, Lawrence Mason, Anna Thompson. They all put in very memorable work in this movie. The script was adapted very well by David Shaw. The Crow was perfectly shot by Darius Wolski, and the production design by Alex McDowell was absolutely impeccable. And that music, that soundtrack, that score by Graham Revell, oh man, it's just majestic music for the ages. And also, the album soundtrack, like with all the songs and stuff, like that is my favorite movie soundtrack of all time. Like, music by The Cure, Stone Temple Pilots, Rollins Band, like, and go on and on. Like that to me is a perfect music soundtrack album for a film. The sequels are just like oh man, those sequels just I was almost gonna go as far as call them a travesty, but yeah, some of them are. Some of them are. I mean, some of them like seem like well intentioned enough. Like the very first sequel, The Crow, City of Angels. I used to hate that movie for a long time, and then like not super recently, but within like the last, I don't know, 2 years or so, I've seen it again, and it's still a bad movie. Like it's still a bad movie, unquestionably so. But I don't hate it. I can't say I hate. I definitely dislike it. I can't say I hate it now. There's actually parts of it that I actually think they're okay. Visually is nice. Visually is a nice looking film. But beyond that, like the performances are hit and miss. The story actually starts out interesting, and I'd probably say the first half hour or so is fine enough. Like I remember watching it the second time around, and like think, oh, maybe this film isn't as bad as I thought. Like maybe by the end of this film, I won't end up liking it, but at least I'll think like, it was a solid enough watch. Still underwhelming, but solid enough. But no, by the time it gets past the first half hour, and particularly when it gets the second half of the film, like this film is junk. Like this film is junk. But like it's definitely to me like the best of all the sequels, but that's not saying much because that's a very, very low bar. And it definitely was a victim of studio meddling for sure. And had the film not been tampered with, the film could have been, at least, a bit better. But in the end, I still wouldn't have liked it. It's not a good movie. It's definitely not worthy of Brandon Lee's movie, and not worthy of everybody else who worked on the original Crow. Yeah, it's just not a good film. The Crow, Salvation, like I remember, I only seen it once. I remember watching it for a while, and then maybe by the time it gets to the second half, I had enough. Like I just fast forward the rest of it because it did not keep my interest. Like it just, I don't know. I thought it was boring. I thought the film was boring. I thought it was stale. Like I fast forward like to the end and just nah. I know there's some people who think like of all the sequels, that one's like the least worst. I do not agree with that. It's just it's a bad movie. It is a fucking bad movie, The Crow Salvation. I think the only area like maybe in terms of performances are maybe a little more consistent than City of Angels. But it's a lousy film. It's just and I don't like the look of it either. It's definitely reeks of straight to video like vibes. And then you got the Crow. Oh, God, what was it? Oh, Wicked Prayer. That movie was so terrible that I didn't even like. I think I tried to watch like 5 minutes of it, and like I'm like enough. I can't take this. I didn't even bother. I don't think I even bothered even fast forwarding to the end. I think I saw like maybe five, no more 10 minutes, and I decided like turn this shit off. Complete garbage, terrible in every way. A waste of. And this film actually has a pretty like decent enough cast. You know, you got Edward Furlong, you got David Boreanaz. I think it's Emmanuel. I can't pronounce her last name. She played Sloane in oh god, what's the name? She used to come to HBO. Entourage. Entourage. And yeah, I think Danny Trejo is in it. Dennis Hopper, but this film is like fucking trash, and everyone says it's fucking trash. I don't know anyone, not anyone, who says this film is like even a quarter of the way decent. Like it's fucking trash, and yeah, to this day I've never seen the whole thing. I've pretty much never seen the movie. I was only like just a few minutes, and I had enough. Yeah, this fuck that movie. um. And then you got you know, the more recent Crow remake. Oh man, like of all the films though, as much as I can't stand Wicked Prayer, this to me is the worst like cinematic creation of like the Crow of all the films in the franchise. Like the Crow remake, what a fucking god awful piece of shit this film is like. And again, it's like similar to like Wicked Prayer in that it has a solid cast. Like you know, it has Bill Skarsgård, amazing actor. You know, it also has Danny Houston, and there's some other people in the film as well. And like, but they're just wasted in this movie. Like even Bill Skarsgård is like he's doing his best, but he's not coming off too good in this movie. He definitely has moments like once he gets into like Crow mode, like you know, okay, like the performance, like you know, surges in terms of like being interesting and all that, and like his physicality is great and all that, but like his character is just. This is not Eric Draven. Like, who the fuck is this? At least with the other sequels, like, it wasn't based on Eric. They're clear they're Eric's stand-ins, but it's not Eric's story. The reason why I hate this film most, because this is Eric's story. And they had the nerve to, like, pitch this film. I remember, like, before it came out, like, when they were, like, making the movie. They had the nerve to say this was the most faithful of all the interpretations of Crow, all the cinematic interpretations. Like, this is the most faithful to James O'Barr's masterpiece of a comic. Like James O'Barr's The Crow is I would probably say my favorite comic of all time. Like I think the only other comic, and I love a lot of comics, but I think the only comic that like that's hit me as emotionally as James O'Barr's The Crow is The Dark Knight Returns. But like in A Killing Joke, that's also another one I have to say. But yeah, like that is just such a I don't know, a riveting comic, a riveting story that James O'Barr created, you know, that's based in you know, real emotion and grief. And it's, I don't know, how do you take something like that comic, as exquisite as that comic, and just basically take I don't, just tarnish that story with that abomination of a fucking remake. It's one of the worst remakes I've ever seen. It is one of the worst interpretations of source material I've ever seen. And it's just one of the worst movies I've ever seen, period. Like, this film doesn't work on any level. Not on any fucking level. It's a fucking failure. Like, just, oh man. Like, I go on and on about how much I loathe this fucking movie. Like, it doesn't even make any sense by its own standards. Like, forget about being faithful to the source material. Like, it's not even, like, true to the story that it set up for its own self. Things don't make any sense. There's contradictions here. There's plot holes there. There's just things that literally make no fucking sense in this film. And these people don't even act anywhere remotely like real human beings. And The Crow doesn't look good. Like, you know, I could say I have some issues with the other Crow films, but at least in some of the sequels, like, you know, the Crow stand, like the Eric stand-in looks decent, like with the makeup or the look. This is just like, what in the world? Like, he looks so dated. The film's only like, going on 2 years, and he already looks super dated. Like, with the hairstyle he has, and the way they have the tattoos, and just everything about it, just like, man, that fucking ending. Yeah, I think I've talked about this film enough, and it's just a complete. It is a complete waste of fucking time. How dare they made this fucking movie? Like, just no, no. No, fuck this movie. No. The Crow is a true cult classic. That at this point, it is safe to say it has elevated to be also a true major movie classic. If there's any type of silver lining with the release of the Crow remake, is that it brought more attention to a younger generation to go ahead and seek out and watch Brandon Lee's masterpiece, directed by Alex Proyas, who also made another masterpiece in the 90s, Dark City. Maybe one day I'll talk about that movie. As of at the time of this recording, February 1st will be next week, and February 1st is Brandon Lee's birthday. And happy birthday, Brandon. You are and continue always will be missed greatly. You were and are a wonderful soul, and you left a wish it was longer, but you left an awesome body of work with your films, and you've left a legacy that anyone would be proud of, that is worthy of praise. And God bless you wherever you are, and we will always remember you.
Because we do not know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. And yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number, really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? An afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it. Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20. And yet it all seems limitless.